Hi everyone, welcome back to Prieto TV and welcome to the end of Season 2 of Prietology. We're finally here at the end. Apologies for uploading this video super late because, well, but finally we are here for Season 2 finale. Episode 6, Electricity and Magnetism. So, let's start reviewing the key terms. Alright, so let's review our key terms. So we have electricity, static electricity, electric current, magnetism, electromagnetism, generators, and semiconductors. So let's just get right on and start with the first term. So electricity, this is basically one of the basic things that we'll be talking about today. So electricity is made when electrons flow through a conductor. So it could be metals, it could be some conductive wool, I think, iron wool. Basically metals. So yeah. If it's metallic, it can conduct electricity. So basically it's when they flow through conductors. So the electrons move because of something called EMF, or electromotive force, which is known as voltage. Voltage, represented with a capital V, is voltage, named after Alessandro Giuseppe Volta, I think. So electrons, whenever they flow, they try to go near positively charged protons so they can connect the link, and that's when a circuit is formed. The word electricity comes from the word electron, which is Greek for amber, and you can guess that's where the word electron comes from. So when electrons flow through a wire, current is created. So you can basically, like a stream of electrons flowing through a wire, and streams of water are also sometimes called currents. So that's what I'm guessing the word current comes from. So a fun fact, the annual global electricity around the world, the amount of electricity produced is 8 to 82,000 trillion joules. That is a lot. Alright, so our second term is static electricity. We know what static electricity is. It's when you touch, like, you rub your feet on the carpet. There's not a carpet on the floor. And then you touch something metallic, you feel a zap. That is static electricity at form. So it's an electrical charge that remains in one location. Like, your body gets charged, and then you discharge on a conductor. So this can cause lightning, which is a weather phenomena when the air gets ionized. This is caused when two insulators, so let's say these two books, rub against each other. Some static electricity can be made, but not much because of what they're made of. So the process is that two insulators touch each other, electrons are taken off each other, leaving one with an opposite charge. So basically one likes to take electrons, one gives the electrons. So it's an exchange. So some fun fact, a normal lightning voltage, as we were talking about, the normal voltage of a lightning bolt, 100 million volts. Basically it'll fry you to a crisp. Alright, term number 3, electrical current. We're still in the electricity stuff. So electrical current is a form of energy by moving electrical charges along. Like we talked about when we said electricity, basically kind of like a flowing river of electrons and charges. And if you didn't know, electrical charge is measured in something called coulombs. C-O-U-L-O-M-B-S, if I'm not wrong. That's measured with a lowercase q, so something like this, I think. It looks like a little a. So this can be measured in amps or amperes, which is a capital A. And this can also be turned into light, motion, sound. So basically this is kind of like the basis for electricity, but it can transform into anything. It also can be formed with chemical potential energy, which can help give kickstart to current. Like a battery, these batteries, one here, this uses chemical potential energy, like we talked about a while ago. So the potential energy is stored, and then when you connect, I have some wires here, when you connect two insulators, electrical current starts flowing through the wire, thus produces electrical current. So a fun fact, the speed of electrons in a wire, I think with no resistance, is 1.01 millimeters per second, which is somewhat good time. Alright, term number 4 of 7, magnetism. We are done with electricity now. Now we're going to get into some magnetism. Magnetism is an invisible force made by certain substances, only ferromagnetic substances, which are substances that can create magnets. So iron, cobalt, and nickel, I think, are the only ones. This is measured in Teslas, no, not the car, named after a brilliant physicist? Was he a physicist? I don't know. Scientist Nikola Tesla, which is measured with a capital T. He helped create the electricity system that we know today. So it has the magnet. I don't have a magnet on me, but they both have north and south poles, which attract, and then opposites attract, like charges repel. Same with magnetism. So magnetism's power, the word magnetism comes from the spin of electrons. Here's our model atom. It comes from the spin of electrons. So I'm going to try to spin it like that. It comes from that, and that's how magnetism is made. And certain elements have that unique spin that makes them magnetic. Magnetism can actually be found in hard drives, so like those floppy hard drives and MRIs, which are used to scan the brain and the body, and security tags for security purposes. Fun fact about magnetism, the magnetic poles of the Earth, they shift every year by 40 kilometers, which is the same as 25 miles, so that's a pretty big shift on a global scale. Actually, now that I realize it's not that big of a shift, considering how large the world is. Alright, term number 5. This is the last of the 4 fundamental forces that we've been talking about in this series. So we've talked about gravity in, I think, episode 1, strong force in episode 4, and weak force last episode in episode 5 when we talked about radioactivity. This is the final one, electromagnetism. As I said, it's one of the fundamental forces of the universe. It's the force of attraction, like gravity is a force of attraction, but this is the force of attraction between charged objects. This can be carried by waves and radiation. I think not last time, but in episode 3, we talked about the electromagnetic spectrum. That's where electromagnetism comes from. It makes all waves and all light, so it's pretty important to us. This is one of the only forces that you actually feel. This is actually the only force that you can feel on your body. When you're like shocked, when you get like zapped by static electricity, that you're feeling a fundamental force. It's the only one you can feel in the universe. This also lives on opposites attract, which is basically how all of our key terms live. And the range of this is infinite, unlike weak force and strong force that can only work in the tiny spaces of the atom. This works infinitely. So the fun fact about this, the carrier, or the particle that carries it throughout the universe, is called a photon. We learned about a photon last class, I think? Yes. It makes all light, all waves, so its carrier is photon. Alright, second to last term, generators. Generators are the things that power our life. They use electromagnetism, which we just talked about, to make electricity. They power everything in our universe. Not universe, but in our world. So how they're made, if you spin, I don't have a magnet, but let's pretend this battery is a magnet. If you spin it around a coil of wires, so let's just say this is a coil of wire, let me just put it together. I think I can just snap it on, there we go. So I'm going to hold the wire, I'm going to make it a little smaller. I hold the wire like this, I don't know if you can see it, and then I spin a magnet. I don't know if it's in this direction, but if I spin a magnet with the poles, because magnets have the poles, so let's say this is north, this is south, the poles go that way from north to south, so it's like a circle. And for the electricity to be created, the poles have to interfere with the wire to help create the voltage. So if you spin it this way, I think, you'll create some electron. So basically, if you spin a coil of wire inside a magnetic field, or the other way around, and the electrons move, you create current, which means you create electricity. Power plants use this, but they make large coils of wire, and then they spin giant magnets in them to create electricity, and that's the thing that powers our stuff. So a fun fact, the output of the largest power plant in the world, which I'm not sure where it is 8.2 gigawatts of power. Basically, 8.2 billion watts of power. That is a lot. Here we are, everyone. Term number 7. The final term of this lesson and the final term of Prietology Season 2. Semiconductors. Semiconductors are mysterious materials that don't really like to conduct electricity, so they semiconduct. That's why they're called semiconductors. These are actually widely used in computers, so all those like high-tech gaming PCs that you guys have, those use a lot of semiconductors. These are made from elements. I think we talked about the periodic table in the first ever Prietology lesson. Go take a look right here. It's made from elements called metalloids, or as I call them sometimes, the semiconductors. So silicon and germanium, mostly made from silicon, is what most of the semiconductors are made of. They can somewhat conduct electricity. That's why they're called metalloids, and because they somewhat conduct. Doping, a process called doping, helps electric current pass through semiconductors, so basically kind of adding a little bit of conductivity. The final fun fact of this season, the industry value of semiconductors is $200 billion a year. Basically the entire global market today in our modern world strives on semiconductors. All the technologies, they like to use semiconductors. I have to do this one last time. Well, that is wrapped up for Season 2 of Prietology, so let's move on to the final experiment of the day, which we actually have this lesson, so let's get started. Alright everyone, this is experiment of the day. It's called electromagnetic field. What you need is a metal bolt or a screw, so something like this, some paper clips, so any paper clips can do, some insulated copper wire. I have mine here. Preferably, it would be better if it was 12 inches or 30 centimeters. A battery, some electrical tape. Make sure you have some electrical tape. Regular tape doesn't really work with this. And scissors. Alright, so the procedure. So first, you have to wind our wire around the bolts. So I'm going to start winding this. Alright, so now, oh come on, it just unwinded on me. Wow. And then you want to leave about 2-ish inches to spare. This is about 2 inches, I think. So now we're going to tape the wires to the ends of the batteries with electrical tape. I'm going to hold my wire also together with electrical tape, so this may take a while because this electrical tape's a little non-sticky. Alright, I think I have my bolt. It's a little tacky, but we'll make do with what we have. Now to tape my battery, I gotta get some more electrical tape. Oh, I think this may actually be a little too much. Let's just get the tape off. There we go. Now to tape it to the battery. Come on, work with me, batteries. Because I'm basically holding the electromagnet together. I don't know if this will really work. Ah, come on, I just let it go. Alright. I gotta put it back. Alright. Come on. Ooh! The battery. Oh goodness, the battery's actually hot. Surprising. I think that means we have current running through our wires, which we want current to run through our wires. Ooh, it's getting a little toasty. But let's see if we can pick up some some paper clips. Ah, come on. Alright, yeah, we're gonna really need that electrical tape. Alright, brief intermission. There is current going through these wires. Yeah, these wires are actually heating up. I don't think my electrical tape is good enough. Anyway, but let's just hold it like this. There we go. And let's see if we can pick up some of our paper clips. Oh, it just did it. Watch, watch, watch. Oh, come on, why is it not doing it? Come on. Come on, paper clips. Okay, I'm gonna take the electrical tape off. And then now I'm gonna try. Being it up with the screw. Come on, screw. Screw. Ah, come on, it's not working. This battery's getting really hot. Probably shouldn't continue doing this. But what's supposed to happen is that the bolt is supposed to be able to pick it up. Well, for the last experiment of this season, it kind of failed. So, let me tell you what has been happening. So what's supposed to happen, actually, the electrons make the magnetic field as they run through the wire, and then they wrap around this screw, and a wire coiled around the core makes a bigger magnetic field. So this was our core, and the wire wrapping it around helps create the magnetic field. In this case, the core is our bolts. We call this an electromagnet because it's the only it's only magnetic when electricity flows through it. That's why it's called an electromagnet rather than a magnet. So you could turn it on and off by disconnecting it. Well, I would be able to turn it off. Well, that concludes the final lesson. Let's move on to announcements. Oh, announcement time. Well, everyone, another Prietology season done. Good job. Good job. Thank you guys for watching this. Thank you for being on top of this. This is a big thing that I've been able to do a second season, guys, with your support. So we're going to be done with physical science for a while. So we talked about in this season, just to recap of the little season, first we talked about motion and gravity and force and mass. Then after that we talked about potential and kinetic energy. Then we talked about waves and electromagnetism, a little bit of electromagnetism, some amplitude, frequency. Then the fourth episode we talked about atomic structure, getting even deeper into atoms and see what the atoms, protons, and neutrons, and particles are made of. And then we talked about radioactivity last lesson. And then in this one we covered electricity and magnetism. Whew, what a tiring lesson this was, and also this season. Alright, so like I said, physical science, so chemistry, physics, we're going to be done with that in a while. The topic for season 3 of Prietology is biology. We're going to get into some life science. So we're going to talk about DNA, skin, cells, plants, animals, how life is created. Well, we're not going to get a little too deep in that. But we're going to talk about like how cells mutate and how they create it. It's going to be fun. We will start this next season, season 3 of Prietology, in late March. So don't expect another Prietology lesson until March, late March. So maybe 22nd of March is probably when we're going to do it. So maybe late 20s of March. So yeah. And so also, if you just for you know, so you guys know, I'm going to be a full steam on videos. I just took a little break myself because, well, creators need breaks because they put a lot of work. So after this, full steam ahead. We're going to go full steam ahead with Prietology. Next week is a gaming video as always. So that should be fun. Well, thank you for being with me for another episode and for another amazing season of Prietology. We are done with physics and we are done with chemistry. 2 seasons already. Well, this is where I say goodbye, and thank you for watching. See ya.